and this guy inside another section. So this section is going to be called pin, because these guys are the ones pinned. I'm going to call these guys pin. I'm going to give them a class of pin. Right, and for this aside, the first one I'm going to give it the class of screen. So I'm going to call this guy profile screen. I'm going to call this guy profile, class of profile. Right, this is the two that we have here, screen and profile. Now the next one we're going to, so moving on to our CSS. Moving to our CSS, so we start from pinned. So it's pinned. So target we do margin top. So to have this space, we want to have this space here. So you just have a margin top of 10 px. Then we have a padding. So we want it to have a padding all over. So you're just going to do padding, the inner padding of 10 px. So we have display of legs, so that they are all going to be on the same line, and then we do a gap of what, 20 px, so in between them, to have the space in between them. So what's happening? Section, it's not the same stuff. We have pinned, this guy, first aside, second aside. So what happened? What just happened? So okay, okay, I understand what happened. So let's continue styling to give it a background color. So let me copy out the color. And then we stop here. So now let's go to each individual items within this. So we're going to call pin. So we had a class name called okay, we had profile and had screen, right? But first of all, we want to, these two images that we had, see what's happening here is that these two images are okay. See, so two of them are showing side by side, but these images are very large. So basically, you can't tell, like, it cannot be contained in one screen, right? So first of all, we're going to work on their side. So we're going to shape, give it a size, right? So it's going to be small, right? So first of all, we have a height. Give it a height of 350 px, 350 px, 50 px. Then we give it a radius of 50, a 50%. So basically with the 50% reduce, so two of them are gonna be, it's gonna take two of them are going to take equal percent, so it's gonna reduce. So see what we have here, 50%. So half, so 50%, right? So we're still getting there. So see, I have a lot of things to add to make it more fine, beautiful. So let's continue. So 50%. So each of them is gonna have a border radius of border radius of 20 px, right? And then we have background for each of them, right? I'm going to give each of them a background, and then the background color is going to be this, right? Now this is what we have here. So this is what we have here. So let's go to individual items here, so we know how to style them together. So the next one is, then we move into the images, right? So we have two different images here. So first of all, we start with the screen. So we do screen. So this is the stream here. So we had a section. This one, we call this one stream. This first guy is stream. So and then we want to target the image within the stream. So image. So we just do so we change this to height of the same 350 px. Also change the width, so make the width 100, percent, and then we have a border radius of 20. Oh shit. Okay, border radius of 20 px. So now this guy is not looking okay, right? So we're still coming to this one. We're going to come back and work on this one. So the next thing we're going to do is this image. So for us to work on this image, we call this one user profile. So we're going to give this guy, since we're going to have two items. So let me even type in what we're supposed to have here. Supposed to have what's it called, a name. So first I have so a name. So Peter, my name, yourself, right? So let's keep this one in mind. So it's showing here. So let's keep this one in mind while we work on this. So now we first of all give this guy a div, this particular div within this profile. So you have two stuff. So this one is we're going to call this guy, give it a class of, what am I going to call this? So we call this user picture. That's the profile picture. Just do user pic, that's picture. Let's go over here and let's style it. So first of all, we do user pic. So we want to style. Why? What happened? So we want to style this div, because looking at this guy, look at this image here. So let's look back at this image. So this div now, we want to style this div so it's going to look like this, right? So we'll just have this small image around it like this. That's what we want to do first. So first of all, so we start with styling this particular item, the div containing the image, right? So we just do display flex. guess I'm missing something here. Okay, no, I'm not missing anything. Sorry. Just do flex. So we just do align item center, display items. Sorry, justify content center. To move this guy to the center, so we're going to do height of. So well, before we do this first, so let's target this image first. Let's reduce the size of the image, right? Because this image is too big, so let's first of all reduce the size. So we'll just do user peak. Wow, this guy. So this is what we have, right? This is what we have, but this is not what we want to do. So we're going to increase this to make this 150. So this is what we have now. So basically what I did was I targeted this image first to reduce the size of this image. So by doing user peak image, right, to reduce the height and the size of this image to be a bit smaller. And then I did width and height 150 px, and then I did border radius 50%. So 50% to round it up. So you can either do 50% or 100%. Either way, you're gonna round up like full. 50% is like rounding up full. Once it is a perfect square, when you do 50%, it's going to round up like fully. So coming to this place, so you see that this guy is hanging up here, and this is not what we want. We don't want it to hang, we want it to be at the center here. So to get this guy at the center, so I'm going to start again too. Okay, to get this guy at the center here, first of all we do the item. So basically when we are styling this guy, when we are styling this user peak, right, we are styling the item inside here. So whatever style you're applying, it's for this guy inside here. So first of all we start by doing a display. So let's start again, display of flex, right? Then we do justify item center, we do align item center. So justify item center means okay, we want to shift this guy to center. Now but if we inspect this guy, we see that it's hanging because the space that this guy has, that this guy can occupy, it's half. Now for us to get it to occupy the full width, because basically we've already taken out some part of the width and height, for us to make it to take up the full width, so we just have to just make this guy width of 100% and height of 100%. So it's going to be on the center. So how did this guy work? So see how this guy works. Basically now this guy is taking this first aside, this aside that is governing. So this aside which has this guy and this guy, it's 100. And then on a norm, this image is supposed to be 100. It's more than 100, right? So we've reduced the size. And now, but we had a fake container around it. So that fake container around it, we want this fake container. So it's like we are recreating this image. So we created a box, and then we are recreating like the image. We reduce the size of the okay. See what happened in actual sense. What I just did here is that we had a box on a table, and the box and we have an item that we want to put. So but the item is supposed to take the whole front, like the whole space in the table, and the box that we want to put the item inside is going to take the whole space. So instead of making the item I want to put to take the entire box, so what we do basically is that, so we used a box, right? So we make the box to take the entire table, and then we put the item inside it. So basically we have a fake shell here. So we have another box, so we are layering another box inside on top of this main box. I don't know if this is making sense, but basically this image now is the item that we want to put on a box. And then we first of all created a div as a container, and then we have our table, the main box holding the box that is holding the item that we want to put. Now since this guy is taking up a little space, but we still want it to take this other space, so we made another box as a container that will take up the space remaining for this guy, so thereby bringing this guy to the middle of the whole box. So now we have like 3 layers. So the first layer is the main container, which is this user pick, the main container. The first one with this profile. This profile takes up, it's taking up what's it called, 100. It's supposed to take up 100, but here we are making it to take up, so we did our side. We said okay, all of our sides should take up 50%, so which means this guy is taking up 50% of the entire page, which is 100%. Now the entire page being 100%, now we have to improvise by adding another layer here, which is this guy, a container, right? That container, so now the 100% of this container is the 50% of the main div. I don't know if this is making sense. Now their side is taking 50%, and this user picks is taking, the box that we are creating is taking 100% of the 50%, while this guy is taking just 150 px of the 50% of the 100% of this 50%. So we are placing a box on top of a box to create up a layer that will allow us to push this guy to the middle. I don't know how best to explain this, but this is what the simplest form that I can explain. Now, let's continue our code. Now we've already pushed this guy, and this guy is off because this guy, this picture, this guy here, this user pick is taking up the entire place, right? It's taking up the 100%. Then we want to push this guy inside this box, even though it's not on the box. Alright, so we are going to be using CSS positioning to do it. Now first of all, for us to be able to use the CSS positioning, now we are going to first of all place this main box. We're going to call this guy this guy. So I'm going to come here, right, where all of these guys started. These picks, all of these picks, all of these guys started, which is here, right, which is here before we started manipulating the individual picture. So I'm going to add up this profile, and then I want this, so I want to make this guy, this box relative to the main box containing all of it. So here we have a name here, pin. So pin is the, okay, is it pin? Yeah, pin is the main box containing this guy and this guy. And then I want this guy to be relative. So when I make it relative, okay, let me just say position. Position relative. So I mean that whatever style that I'm going to apply will not supersede the main one. So it's going to be relative to the main container holding the whole section, which is pin container. That's the least I can explain. So let's move. So already we've made it this. So the next thing we need to do is, so we need to target this particular this guy. So I'm going to give it a class called user detail, profile detail, sorry, profile detail, profile details. So I'm going to come here. I said okay. Now since I have in mind that I've made the whole container relative, which means whatever style I'm going to apply is not going to overshadow the style that is containing like the whole container here. So whatever style that I'm applying here will not, it will only be within the context of this particular element of the particular what's it called, of the particular container holding the entire design, holding the entire this so that's why we had this structure. First we had this container, then we have this pin, right? And the pin, so every style I'm going to apply now, because I've made this guy relative, any style I'm going to apply to this guy is going to be placed relatively to this guy. So this guy is not going to move, the style is not going to move beyond this container. So with that said, and without we have that in mind, so I'm going to do position. So I'm going to position this guy, this particular guy, absolute. Now absolute allows us to move around without like, I don't know. So we have types of positioning. We have relative, absolute, we have sticky, we have fixed. Fixed means it's static, not like, so it's going to be static in that page. So even if I make this header static, so basically if I scroll, it's going to be there, like it's not going to shift. So I don't know if you've seen borders, if you've seen headers navbar, that when you scroll, the whole item move below the body of the item, that's the main items, move below, right? So, but the header, you still see your search bar, you still see your item, so it's on fixed. Now relative allows us to place item relative to the container that is holding it. Now absolute allows us to place items on top. Now first of all, let's see what I did. The container guiding the whole item is on relative. Now this item is going to be on top of the whole item. So in stacking, so if you are stacking this as a book, so it's like carrying the item at the last of the stack and bringing it to the top, right? That's what I'm trying to do when I say absolute. So I'm going to do it absolute. So now the next thing you're going to position, so you're going to do, so we have type of position, we have top, we have bottom, we have left, we have right. So I'm going to do bottom. So I'm going to do bottom. Let's see how it's going to look. So bottom 0. So now to notice what happened, since this guy is relative, and this guy is absolute. So absolute means I'm going to play, it should place, CSS is going to automatically place this guy on top of the whole item within this. So it's going to bring it up here. Now if I do bottom 0, so it means it's going to be on the last edge. So if I increase it, let's say I do bottom 20px. So look at where it's going to stay, right? Now basically I'm going to do it 10px, button of 10px, and I want to shift it by the right. So left, sorry. So I want to do left. I'm going to do left 20px to shift it to the left by 20px. I'm also going to do what else? So let's stop there. So I move this by the left 20px and then move the top 10px. So this is what I'm trying to achieve here, right? Now, so we also have a style and image here. So what's it called? So here before this guy, so I'm going to use a span tag to show icon. For now, so all of this, so we have the icon. So for us to make this to come together, so like we always do, so we're going to do, so notice like this guy, all of them are within this guy. So I'm going to do display of flex. So flex, right? And then I'm going to do gap, so they'll have space in between them. So I'm going to just do 10px. So this is what we have here. So to make them look stay on the same line, I will do item center align items center. So they're going to be on the same line. So let's come down. So that's it. So we are done building this section. So we're still going to come back and add all these icons, right? So let's finish our CSS style. So the next thing remaining here is that if you look at here, so we still have a lot of stuff to still go through. So we have this icon, we have this icon to see add, we have this icon, we have this icon to add. Now then the next thing we have to add is this guy. So now let's move. So the next section, so display users. I'm going to this guy, call it display users. Display users. So I'm going to add a section, another section here. Now in this section, you notice that we have little cards. So the first card, second card, third card, fourth card of people, right, that we have here. So I'm going to create card 1, then we style the card, individual cards, right, and then how it's gonna look. So I'll call this guy, I'll give this guy a section. So within this section we have 3 things. We have the image, then we have the text, the name of the user. Now first of all, so for this I'm not going to add image, but I'm going to give you an assignment. The assignment is that when you get this file, because I'm going to send this folder, the file, when you get this file, put your own image on this place, right? Put your own image on it and then check it out. So that's your own project. So basically at the end of this, this is going to be your personal project, right? So we have the first div to generate the person's name. Sorry. So this guy, so we have a P class with the initial like we have here. So we might just have A. So we have, okay, I can't pronounce this name, so Temitope. So Temitope we donate it with A. He doesn't have a profile. Let's say he doesn't have a profile. So Tem, add your own here. What's happening? What's happening? Did I press? Okay, I pressed. Good. Oh, I don't know what happened. Oh, changed this guy. So the next thing we're going to have is we already have display profile. So we call this guy display profile. Oh, what did I click? Yeah. This guy is trying to distract me, but let's move on. So I'll call this guy username. So we have a div. So let's see how it's going to look. So this is what we have here. So this is how it's looking. So I'm going to create a class. What happened? What did I even press? Oh, I clicked on insert. Oh god, my nose. Sorry guys. So we'll call this guy display users, and then to finish up our profile, so this guy is going to be display profile. That's going to be displayed this guy, right? So now, so let's start with styling